Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric, and the second day of Vlogmas 2022. I am glad that you are joining me today. I hope that you caught yesterday's video. If not, there will be a link at the end that you can click on that will have the playlist for all of the Vlogmas 2022 videos. So, I survived the first recording, and I was able to do it in around the 20-minute mark that I was hoping for. So now we have day 2, and I am ready to just dig in, get out my more festive lap cloth, and let's grab a bag of fiber. I just grabbed it from the top. Let's see what it is. What color do we have today? Oh, first of all, what chocolates? Wow, I'm pretty sure I had one of these colors yesterday. There are some other ones in there. Talk about random. And another little present chocolate. Another little treat for today. It is definitely the season of treats, but it is nice to have little chocolates just as a tide me over my little advent calendar chocolate. Ooh, but now to pull out the color, and it looks like today we have another one of the exhaust fibers. This one is from the exhaust of Herb Green. And oh, that is a pretty fiber. So, I really did mix up the bag. So, I shouldn't be just dealing with the exhaust. That's a lot of color. So, that's one of the things, if you're not familiar with the term, if you're not a spinner or not a dyer, when you make up a batch of dye, you're trying to make up a batch of dye that is just the amount of dye you need for the quantity of fiber that you're spinning. When you're doing it kind of the random haphazard way that I normally do it, you don't always get it spot on. So when the fiber has finished absorbing the amount of dye it wants to absorb in that bath, it can sometimes have some leftover dye in the dye pot, and if you throw in some more fiber, that will soak up. That will soak up the dye. And I ended up guessing way too much. It was about, let's see, whether I was using a tad or a pinch or a smidgen. I went with a tad, and it was a tad too much. So I have some my exhaust fibers are actually kind of dark themselves. But it's really lovely because there are some shade differences, and not only are there some shade differences, but when it was all said and done, I only had a couple dyes that didn't get exhausted with the second set of fiber, and I used that. I put in I had a hank of merino that I went ahead, a hank of roving, merino roving, that I went ahead and just put that in, and that absorbed the rest of the dye. So, as you see, this just beautifully drafts on, and it's back to letting it, I'm just letting it spin to a comfortable thickness. This is going to be I think a nice, probably fingering weight yarn when it's a 2-ply. Fiber, you can really encourage the fiber to spin thinner or thicker. Most of the time, I prefer to just let the fiber do what it wants to kind of do. But I also have reached a point where I prefer to do, if I want a thicker yarn, rather than trying to spin thick, I just do extra plies. It's easier for me. It works out better for me just to add extra plies rather than try to spin a big and fluffy yarn. Of course, I think I could spin this fluffy it definitely, the way I carded it and the way I shoved it in a little bag, it does want to make a good woolen yarn. So I do have a second camera that I'm trying to get some shots of, but one of the things that you might notice is that I do have sometimes little lumpy areas. They tend to work out when you do the ply. I only pick out things that are clearly something that is a shortcut, a little bit of a nap that in the carding process I didn't quite get out. I'll pick those out. Of course, if there's vegetable matter, I'll pick that out. But I kind of, like, here's one. Let's see. There. A little fluffy area. And that little fluffy area is more of a nep. But rather than picking it out now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll leave them and I'll pick them out during the plying process. That's just my preference. So I'm doing definitely a long draw with this fiber because I did card it. I had thought about just picking the fiber open and spinning from that, but after having dyed the fiber and looking at it, I realized that this fiber needed to be carded. If I weren't spinning right in front of a camera, I could have probably made do spinning just from the opened locks. But it just seemed like a little bit too much frustration and too much that could go wrong. At least today I am remembering to advance my my yarn along the bobbin. I noticed that yesterday I kind of forgot to. But yeah, I'm definitely spinning this a woolen, and I think it will, well, I'm hoping that it will make a really nice fluffy yarn when it's plied. We'll see. I'm not worried about putting a ton of twist. Honest truth, with all the craziness of getting ready for Vlogmas, all the craziness of just getting everything done. Oh yes, I have another calendar page mini quilt here. This is all the things that I was working on to get ready for Vlogmas. I forgot to test out this fiber on this wheel. I don't even know what I have it. I don't know what whirl I have it on. I'm noticing it is my larger of the two whirls that I can put on. So it really is just winging it. It is just simply enjoying the spin. And I guess maybe that's the thing, not overthinking it. So if you're a spinner and you haven't sourced yourself some fiber, maybe you should quickly grab a hold of some and spin along with me, just allowing it to do its thing. If you are a knitter or someone who crochets or weaves, or I guess any craft, or just somebody who likes to listen to, have somebody else's voice in the house while they cook, my recommendation is find something that you can do. Maybe if you can't get it in every day, maybe every couple days, but find something you can do that is just, that can be done random, that you don't have to overthink it. If you like making cards with paper crafting, oh my goodness, just sit down, randomly grab from your supplies whatever it is you like to do and try something like that. If you're a knitter and you haven't downloaded my capelet pattern yet, oh, I recommend you do that. And then dive into your stash, pull out some sort of fiber and just start knitting. If you find yourself not having time to get it adult size, make it for a little kid and give it away. Or if you find yourself, really push for time, make it and give it to a doll. It will work. Had a friend come over a few weeks ago, and she's much smaller framed than I am in the shoulders and everything. A lot younger as well. And I tried my capelet that I made for me on her, and oh my goodness, it's amazing how a simple pattern fits people of all different sizes, simply because you just knit until it fits you. And in my case, I had to knit a few dozen rows. But for this person who was that's much too big to leave in, who's much smaller than I am, it was a much longer cape, and it was adorable. I almost wanted it to go home with her, but I had too many fond memories of the yarn in it. It was the one that I knit up from all of my random leftover balls of yarn, and the truth is I have too many fond memories, and it is really nice. I've had an opportunity to wear it a couple times. It's gotten cold enough, and when I need a heavier shawl that keeps me warm, it's perfect. In fact, there was one day that it wasn't so much, I don't think it was really that it was all that colder than normal, but there was a lot of dampness in the air, and I wasn't feeling very well. I was feeling a little under the weather, and I ended up getting a little bit of a chill, and I couldn't get warm. And many of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Those days, most of the time, I run too warm. Most of the time, that wonderful time of life that I'm in, I am warm all the time. I have to keep the house cool. But on that particular day, something was a little off, and I just couldn't get warm. And so I put the thick shawl on, and then I took my first, my thicker capelet, the one that has all the multicolored, and then I took my first capelet, which is the lighter weight drapier one. I put it over the top of it. Oh my goodness. I sat in my chair, and within minutes, my body temperature finally started to regulate. It was wonderful. I wish I had understood how wonderful wool is years ago. Back before I finally had a diagnosis for some of my underlying health issues, and I'd get so cold, and I couldn't get warm. I didn't know back then how wonderfully breathable and insulating wool could be. Now, I just, when I have those days in which I just can't get myself warm or body temperature regulated, out comes the capelet or one of my bigger shawls. I am currently watching one of my cats cause havoc behind the camera. I've been fortunate enough now to not have any visitation from the cats while I spin. Mainly because the little ones are taking a nap. But the big ones have woken up from their afternoon nap, and yes, I'm doing this a little later in the day, and I will have to release the sleeping kittens soon. Oh my goodness, I'm at the end. And I'm not even sure if I finished whatever sentences I was making earlier. So, wow, that was really fast and enjoyable. And as I said, I'm pretty sure I have another camera taking pictures. I need to actually remember today. I didn't remember after yesterday, but I need to remember after today to try to get a picture of right here so that we can see the fiber as it is, the color as it spins up. So, wow, that was great. Excellent. So, yeah, you can tell. Day 2, I'm still hoping this is going to work out well. Now, on to the next part. What do I need to challenge myself with for the remainder of this day? Because I am recording this one a little later in the day, but we will see. Reached in, another red one. I have challenged myself to do something with gems and beads. So, yesterday it was make a new design, which I showed at the end of the video, and now, today, it's make something with gems and beads. That actually works out really well, because it is getting later in the day. I do have to release, we've nicknamed our kittens the Kraken, because we have a room designated for them when they first joined us that became their security room, and that's where they take their naps when I actually need to do something like record a video. They've relaxed enough, they've settled enough that normally if I'm working in the sewing room, or if I'm working in the sewing room, they'll come in and they'll take naps now there. But kittens, at least my kittens, because my older cats are still not wanting to have anything to do with them. They're tolerating them, but not wanting to interact with them any more than absolutely necessary. The kittens, they miss cuddle time. They're kittens, and they sometimes don't realize that, yes, they need to settle down, stop beating each other up, and take a nap. And they get overtired, and they drive me a little bit crazy. So when I'm recording videos, they are in their nap room. And in short, my napping room has become their napping room. Only now I have to nap somewhere else. So, since I will have to release the Kraken from their napping room shortly, I think I will put the spinning away for today. And instead I will go get some beads and some gems, maybe some hot fix crystals. I don't know. I have a couple projects that I've been working on, the ongoing, the never-ending projects that I do need to actually put some hot crystals on. So maybe I will go and work on those while I unwind a little bit and enjoy my evening. So I hope that you've enjoyed spinning with me, or knitting with me, or just having me chat along while you're doing whatever it is you need to do during this busy season. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that I've brought a little bit of joy and craziness into your day. And I will see you again tomorrow for another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric and Vlogmas 2022. We'll see you then.